So today, we're going to be taking a look at some of the biggest disappointing teams in NBA history. Welcome to Fleece TV. Let's get it. 2013-2014 Brooklyn Nets. In the summer of 2013, Nets GM Billy King made one of the worst trades of all time, acquiring Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Jason Terry from the Boston Celtics in exchange for Gerald Wallace, Chris Humphries, and more importantly, future first-round picks. Through 75 regular season games, a 36-year-old Paul Pierce averaged 13 points, playing even slower than he already did in his prime, while a 37-year-old Kevin Garnett suited up for 54 contests, averaging 6 points as his body also broke down. When healthy, Brook Lopez, Joe Johnson, and Darren Williams did their part to keep the team competitive, but the Nets finished the regular season 44-38 and were eliminated by the Miami Heat Big Three in 5 games during the second round of the playoffs. The Brooklyn Nets had solid talent who were simply past their primes and often injured, making this squad one of the most disappointing of all time. 2015-2016 Golden State Warriors. The 2015-16 Warriors were led by Steph Curry at his peak form when he won his second of a back-to-back MVP. He joined the 50-40-90 club, leading the league with 30 points a night alongside fellow Splash brother Klay Thompson in the backcourt. Klay himself also nailed 3.5 triples per game at a 42.5% clip while averaging 22 points that season. Defensive specialist Draymond Green was one of the best Swiss Army knife players of his time, coming close to averaging a triple-double, and Harrison Barnes, a complementary piece who could knock down shots and guard the opposing team's best perimeter player, rounded out the Warriors' core. Golden State would break the 96 Bulls' 72-10 regular season wins record, going 73-9, and bulldoze the Western Conference playoffs on their way to the NBA Finals against the Cleveland Cavaliers. After leading 3-1 against the Cavs, the Warriors lost 3 in a row as LeBron James brought the first NBA title to the city of Cleveland. The Warriors may have had the best regular season of all time, but many fans see it as meaningless since they couldn't cap it off with the championship. 2009-2010 Cleveland Cavaliers. During the 2009-10 season, LeBron averaged 29.7 points, 7.3 rebounds, 8.6 assists, 1.6 steals, and 1 block a game as arguably the best player in basketball. Cleveland LeBron, much like today, got to the rim at will, had the passing ability of a guard, and was an excellent all-around defender. All-star Mo Williams also provided excellent floor spacing at a 43% clip from 3, and Antoine Jamison played his role well once the team acquired him via trade. Shaquille O'Neal also joined the Cavs in the offseason, providing interior toughness, and the well-rounded Cavs blitzed through the regular season with a league-best 61-21 team record. The Cavs dominated the Derrick Rose Bulls in the first round and entered the Eastern Conference semifinals, ready to face the Celtics' big three of Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. Boston overwhelmed LeBron, forcing him into a series-high 27 turnovers, beat the Cavs in 6 games, and during the offseason, LeBron James announced in the infamous decision that he was taking his talents to South Beach, joining the Miami Heat. The Cavs fell from contenders to faithful lottery winners until the King made his return. 2013-2014 New York Knicks. Coming off a stellar 2012-2013 season, the New York Knicks had everything they needed to make an NBA title run. A 29-year-old prime Carmelo Anthony was a scoring machine that just led the league in points per game, while Amar'e Stoudemire was only a few seasons removed from being a top 10 MVP candidate and was still a solid finisher at the rim. Tyson Chandler was one of the best rim protectors, taking home the Defensive Player of the Year award in 2012, and rounding out the team were Iman Shumpert, Tim Hardaway Jr., Raymond Felton, and the reigning Sixth Man of the Year, J.R. Smith. While the idea of the Knicks being championship contenders seemed great on paper, they failed miserably. Carmelo Anthony had a great offensive season as usual, but his high usage rate only translated to 3.1 assists per game, and Amar'e Stoudemire was a shell of his former self, with his injuries taking a toll on his body. The Knicks finished the 13-14 season 8 games under 500 with a 35-47 record, failing to qualify for the playoffs in a season they were predicted to make a title run. 2004-2005 Indiana Pacers. The 03-04 Pacers were 61-21 in the regular season, losing to the eventual champions Detroit Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals. They came into the following year looking to win their first title and had all the pieces to do so. Ron Artest was one of the most talented two-way wings in the NBA and the Defensive Player of the Year who was in his prime. Jermaine O'Neal was a perennial all-star center, and Steven Jackson was an excellent perimeter option that played well on defense and could create his own shot on offense. Reggie Miller, while older at age 39, was also still on the team, providing his outside shot-making abilities. Early on into the year, the Pacers collided with the Pistons, leading to the most infamous brawl in NBA history, the Malice at the Palace. Artest would get suspended for the entirety of the season, and Indiana also lost O'Neal and Jackson for a significant stretch. The team, while finishing as the 6th seed with a 44-38 record, ran into the same Detroit Pistons in the playoffs, losing in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. The Indiana Pacers had a chance of winning the NBA title in 2005, but one terrible night in November put a stop to their championship hopes and dampened Reggie Miller's final season. 2006-2007 Dallas Mavericks. After blowing a 2-0 series lead in the NBA Finals to the Miami Heat, the Dallas Mavericks came into the 06-07 season with a championship victory in mind. Dallas was led by Dirk Nowitzki as he joined the 50-40-90 club, averaged 24.6 points per game, and topped the season off with the MVP award. His frontcourt mate, Josh Howard, was a talented wing scorer who could also cover elite athletes on the opposing end. Jason Terry and Devin Harris rounded out the backcourt, where Terry averaged 16.7 points per game and shot 43.8% from 3, and Harris used his speed to get to the basket at will. The Dallas Mavericks compiled one of the best regular season records of all time at 67-15 and entered the postseason as the clear-cut frontrunners to win the NBA title. However, the Mavs ran into the We Believe Warriors in the first round of the playoffs and got blitzed by Baron Davis, Steven Jackson, and the rest of the number 8 seeded team in 6 games. Dallas became the first 1 seed to lose to a number 8 seed in a best-of-7 series, putting the cherry on top of one of the most disappointing seasons in NBA history. 2017-2018 Oklahoma City Thunder. The OKC Thunder traded for Paul George during the 2017 offseason after the star won it out from the Indiana Pacers, sending out Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis. Carmelo Anthony would then waive his no-trade clause, allowing the New York Knicks to also make a deal with OKC. Russell Westbrook was coming off a triple-double season where he won league MVP. Paul George was an all-star two-way wing, while Carmelo Anthony was an all-star just the previous season. The Westbrook, George, and Anthony pairing was an awkward fit as the team began the season just 8-12, although they did turn things around, finishing as the 4th seed in the West with a 48-34 win-loss record. Russ focused on once again averaging a triple-double, which took the ball out of Paul George's hand. Defensive specialist Andre Roberson missed significant time with injury, and Carmelo Anthony struggled to adapt to his reduced role within the team. OKC got bounced in the first round of the playoffs by a surprising Utah Jazz team led by rookie Donovan Mitchell 4-2, which saw Westbrook have a high 39% usage rate. Paul George and Carmelo Anthony ended the 2018 playoffs standing around as they watched Russ take 43 shots, ending a long, embarrassing season. 2012-2013 Los Angeles Lakers. After trading for Dwight Howard and adding Steve Nash, the Lakers entered the 2012-13 season with the expectations of winning another championship. Dwight Howard, a 3-time defensive player in his prime, was one of the most effective shot blockers in the NBA, and Steve Nash had just finished a solid season with the Suns where he averaged 10.7 assists. The Lakers, of course, had their franchise cornerstones in the great Kobe Bryant and Pau Gasol, who are not far removed from back-to-back title wins, and they still had Metta World Peace, who played solid defense while knocking down threes. As expected, the Lakers made the playoffs, but they ended the season only 8 games over 500 due to a lack of chemistry and injuries. Dwight Howard felt that he didn't touch the ball enough since head coach Mike D'Antoni ran a more pick-and-roll centered offense, while Steve Nash and Pau Gasol suffered through injuries, and Metta World Peace lost a step on defense. Kobe Bryant did his best to keep the Lakers afloat all season, playing over 38 minutes a night before tearing his Achilles against the Golden State Warriors towards the tail end of the season. Los Angeles entered the playoffs without their top 10 all-time leader and got swept by the San Antonio Spurs in the first round, ushering in one of the toughest droughts in the franchise's history. 1996-1997 Houston Rockets. After failing to win the NBA title as the leading man for the Phoenix Suns, Charles Barkley teamed up with Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler to become the biggest threat to the Michael Jordan-led Chicago Bulls. Barkley was an 11-time All-Star and former MVP who just needed a ring to cement his legacy. Hakeem was the best center of his generation, a dominant defender who also confused big men on offense, and Clyde was the best shooting guard of his time, not named Michael Jordan. The Rockets were just 1 year removed from winning back-to-back titles and had everything they needed for another championship run, but their Hall of Fame trio were simply past their primes. Barkley averaged 19 points but was a step slow on defense. Hakeem put up incredible numbers at his age, but was no longer the unstoppable force of nature he was at his peak. And Drexler, while his numbers were solid, was unable to consistently be explosive and use his speed to get by defenders. The Houston Rockets finished the regular season with the 4th best record in the league at 57-25, but came up short in the playoffs when the Utah Jazz eliminated them in the Western Conference Finals as their Big Three's age finally caught up with them. 2021-2022 Los Angeles Lakers. The 2021-22 Los Angeles Lakers had a collection of talent that was simply impossible to ignore. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, and Dwight Howard were all on the squad and future Hall of Famers, thus leaving many choosing LA as one of the top 2 favorites to hang a banner in the rafters before the season even started. Los Angeles also acquired Russell Westbrook from the Washington Wizards in a deal that saw the Lakers give up valuable pieces from their championship run in Kyle Kuzma and KCP. LeBron James and Anthony Davis were in and out of the lineup throughout the year due to injuries, so they didn't get much time to mesh with Russell Westbrook. With LeBron having to produce video game-like numbers just to get quality wins, head coach Frank Vogel being in the hot seat all year, and a lack of depth across the board, the Lakers never reached their full potential and missed out on the NBA playoffs as the 11th seed in a depleted Western Conference. Los Angeles not only missed the postseason, but they did so with 5 future Hall of Famers, and as such, they're arguably the most disappointing team in NBA history. Speaking of the Lakers, what if they actually didn't trade for him on draft night? Check this out. See you guys next time. Fleece out.